just be glad these don't exist in the real world. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we'll be counting down our picks for the top 10 Resident Evil bosses.
Behold the terror which you have unleashed.
For this list, we'll be looking at the bosses that are memorable, iconic, test the players on skill and resilience, and are just downright terrifying to look at. Spoilers ahead, be warned.
You viral cultured freak!
Number 10, Alexia Ashford, Resident Evil Code Veronica. Having one of the most interesting backstories out of all the bosses on this list, Alexia Ashford was artificially created with the hopes of restoring glory to the Ashford family. Unfortunately, her superior intelligence and hyper-awareness only fueled her ambition for furthering her own prosperity.
Alexia.
After experimenting with and injecting herself with the newly made Veronica T virus, she encounters Claire and Chris Redfield, where her 3 mutations make for one intense and memorable battle. Number 9, Yawn, Resident Evil. A poisonous snake is a pretty scary encounter to begin with, but one infected with the T virus is a whole other story. Larger and much more aggressive due to its mutation, Yawn is a spectacular hunter. Encountered in the very first game in the series, it is fought on multiple occasions. If you're not careful, it can poison you, and the arena you're fighting in doesn't offer much room for evasion. Be sure to save your shotgun shells for this boss fight.
Oh, am I poisoned? I need serum.
Number 8, Vertigo, Resident Evil 4. A boss so powerful that it gives the player a choice to run and never look back was bound to make this list. Serving as the right hand to Ramon Salazar, and appropriately named after the Spanish word executioner, the Vertigo is assigned to be the final form of the Plaga virus, and it definitely shows. With nearly indestructible skin, freezing it with liquid nitrogen and shooting it to pieces is the only way to defeat it. If you're out of bullets, you'll have to wait for the elevator to arrive to make your escape. Number 7, the Comms Officer, aka Skag Dead, Resident Evil Revelations.
I can't move.
Having a stronger resistance to the T Abyss virus isn't always a good thing. Slowing the spread of the mutation, the Comms Officer, or Skag Dead, is the resulting abomination. Maintaining part of its humanity, the monster is able to speak, though it doesn't quite understand that the player is in fact running away from it.
Listen to me. Stop it.
Its voice creates a sense of dread and sends shivers down your spine. Yet it's also pretty sad in a way, as the officer hasn't quite accepted his fate. No room for pity here though, as it's able to kill you instantly if you get too close. Number 6, Jack Krauser, Resident Evil 4. A different approach to the usual Resident Evil bosses. Krauser maintains his human form for most of the fight, using guns, grenades, and hand-to-hand combat to take down the player. Having hurt his arm 2 years prior, Krauser became obsessed with the idea of genetically altering himself to become stronger.
You don't seriously think a conservative mind can chart a new course for the world, do you?
After injecting himself with the Plaga, he demonstrates his new mutation to Leon in the second part of the battle, where his arm takes on a monstrous shape, acting like a giant blade.
Witness the power!
Number 5, El Gigante, Resident Evil 4. Entering a larger-than-normal arena littered with items only means one thing, and El Gigante is a prime example. A hulking beast of a mutant, it's able to use the environment against you, picking up trees and boulders to hurl across the field. Timing and the ability to dodge is essential when versing one of these. When it's hurt, equipping the knife and hacking away at the exposed parasite will bring it down. Also, once you fought El Gigante for the first time, you'd better be prepared to fight another one or two down the line. Number 4. Wesker, Resident Evil 5.
Wesker, you are alive.
Finally squaring off with the series' long-run antagonist is a great feeling, and one that couldn't come soon enough.
Every day, humans come one step closer to self-destruction. I'm not destroying the world, I'm saving it.
Although you do confront Wesker at several points in the game, his Matrix-style dodging keeps him out of reach until this final showdown in a volcano, of all places. Bonding with the progenitor virus, a now mutated Wesker uses a huge metal fragment to attack you with. Even when you think he's defeated, he lurches out of the lava, attempting to bring you down.
The human race requires judgment.
Fortunately enough, 2 rockets are enough to stop him once and for all. Number 3. William Birkin, Resident Evil 2. After being shot, William Birkin injects himself with the G virus, hoping it'll keep him alive. It does, but not in the way he'd hoped. He becomes a monster, simply known as G. He is encountered multiple times throughout the game. Like a lot of bosses in the series, mutating multiple times, each new form is more powerful and more grotesque than the last. The last form is really the stuff of nightmares. Number 2. Lisa Trevor, Resident Evil Remake. Another entry on the list with a sad backstory. Lisa Trevor was abducted and experimented on, along with her mother. Injected multiple times with different viruses, her body and mind began to wither away. Presumed dead, she inhabits a cabin to be found by the player. Unable to be killed in the conventional sense, she perishes only when the Spencer mansion explodes. While she's alive, she still longs for her dead mother, who had also been experimented on, and all she can do is moan in both physical and emotional pain. Before we unveil our top pick, here are a few honorable mentions.
I think that's what got Alpha Team.
Don't tell me it's not true. I'm trying to kill you. Don't you think I know that?
Number 1. The Nemesis. Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. The most iconic boss of the series, Nemesis, say it with me now, shows up multiple times throughout the game. The fear of the unknown as you wait for him to crash through a window is what scares us the most, and the fact that it happens so unexpectedly so many times is what makes him such a great boss. Players are on edge just waiting for him, creating paranoia and despair, and when he finally does show up, things only get worse. He is extremely hard to take down, and he's even got a rocket launcher. To finally bring down this behemoth, it takes an experimental rail cannon, and even that isn't enough to deliver the final blow.
You want stars? I'll give you stars.
Do you agree with our list?
You've really become quite an inconvenience for me.
What's your favorite Resident Evil boss? For more terrifying top 10s published every day, be sure to subscribe to WatchMojo.com.
Done. Everything finished.